Am I the a-hole for being angry at my husband for what his family did? I-24 female use quotations because we did have the actual ceremony. I haven't signed legal paperwork. And I'm currently not living with him because I'm so upset. Background info. My husband, 26 male, has a cousin, Tim, 28 male, who's very close with and often refers him as a brother he never had. When Tim was 18, he moved out and cut his parents out of his life. This was before I came along, but apparently Tim's parents played favorites, vehemently deny this, and have been pressuring other family members to get Tim to admit that he was wrong and welcome them back into his life. My husband is the only one who refused to pay ball, and it's been a cursed tension between him and MIL. Tim's mom is her sister, and he cut MIL off too after she gives his mom a new phone number. When it was announced that we were getting married, COVID hit, and I was fine with it waiting because I wanted my wedding a certain way. Plus, it was a way for us to save up more money. But my hubby's grandma got cancer, and she was sad about possibly dying before seeing the wedding. Hubby's family pushed to have a smaller COVID-friendly wedding, and I wasn't really comfortable with that. Not only because it wouldn't be the wedding I wanted, a lot of people who I wanted to be there couldn't make it. Eventually, I caved to pressure and Tim was going to attend as a hubby's best man. During the planning, I overheard MIL talking to her sister and mention about using the wedding as a way to confront Tim. I was horrified and told hubby, who asked MIL, and she thoroughly denied this, and her sister did too. I was accused of either mishearing or making up an excuse to not have the wedding and being hurtful to grandma. I wasn't and said that I would still be willing to go through with the wedding, but only if someone was uninvited. I was called a bridezilla and chewed out on the social media. Hubby assured me that he spoke to everyone and they all made promises not to do anything. I didn't believe them, but again, caved then, and lo behold, MIL's sister, husband, and Tim's siblings all abused Tim right before the wedding, accusing a big fight that my MOH had to calm down. And then during the actual ceremony, MIL's sister had to be escorted out because her weeping was distracting, and even when she was gone, everyone could hear he bellowing about how cruel Tim was. I was so furious that I ditched the after party and just sent back to my place to pack up my stuff and ignore hubby's calls and texts because I was too furious to talk. After a good crying session, I called hubby and said how hurt I was, that he didn't take my concern seriously, and that there was no way I would sign the legal documents until he agreed to a do-over wedding that banned MIL's sister's family, including Tim, and couples therapy. Some people are giving me a hard time and calling me bridezilla again, saying that no wedding is perfect, that I'm unfairly upset at hubby. I'm still pretty emotional, so I just had to check, am I the a-hole?
Very vocally. Right, it doesn't get much more vocal than this. Mil's sister literally wailed and bellowed her complete lack of respect outside the ceremony, regardless of the words being about Tim or not. That part made my chest hurt. Can you imagine how difficult it must have been trying to carry on with your vows while "And All About Me" is wailing in the background outside the doors? Op deserves a medal for even continuing the ceremony at that point. I don't know if I wouldn't have just sent everyone home then. Yes, this is an extremely dysfunctional family, and the only way to prevent it from taking over Op's life is if she knows her spouse is not willing to tolerate it. If her husband refuses to ever draw boundaries with them, she is right to hesitate. Couples counseling is a great idea. They forced a wedding when she wasn't ready and couldn't even have the people she wanted there with her, so he didn't even care about her feelings to begin with. Then, he ignored the only request she had. That caused a major shit show. It showed her that she isn't a priority in his life. He'd rather ignore issues and allow others to create unnecessary drama rather than to give her some joy on a day she isn't even ready for. And not even only that. He let the one person who abuses his cousin, who he calls brother, to attend the function knowing full well she would create drama, potentially hurting him. Bullshit. Run, girl. I genuinely can't understand all of the negative criticisms of you here. You agreed to a rushed wedding with little of your input where your husband's grandmother can attend due to her poor health, which is important. But you deserved more say in what you wanted, and your husband's family took advantage of a beautiful occasion to ruin it, then label you a bridezilla for being upset, and somehow you're the asshole? Your husband is in a no-win scenario too. Even with counseling, I can't imagine how his family won't be able to continue to affect you like this. If they accuse you of lying about the truth and ruin your wedding, what else will they ruin? I really hope it works out between you two, But I read this and just can't help but feel you deserve better. Sending you all the best, hope we see a positive update soon. ESH. Your hubby did back you up but not to the level that you desired. You then punished him by not talking to him rather than sending a message saying you were upset and would reach out later. Then you further punished him by refusing to sign the documents. You are attempting to hold all the cards, communication, the relationship hostage. He could have done more to support you, but he's ultimately not responsible for the actions of others, especially considering he attained a promise from them. Wanting another celebration that isn't ruined is understandable. This is the reasonable answer I had to scroll really far for. Consider the family pressure Op's husband was under wanting to get married while his grandma was still around, already having cancelled once, coordinating with what sounds like a large family. I think Op's hubby might be a flawed person, as we all are, but to me it sounds like his heart was in the right place. He wanted to marry Op, he wanted the outcast cousin by his side, he wanted his family to stick to their word and just bloody get along for one day. Something also strikes me as confusing. Op apparently would still be willing to marry this person, and therefore marry into this family, knowing what she knows now about them, as long as the wedding day itself had gone well. Is the issue that Op doesn't feel comfortable marrying into this family, or that Op just didn't get the wedding she felt she deserved? Can't believe I had to scroll this far to find this. Frankly, leaving the wedding early because a couple of people got into a verbal argument seems like a bridezilla move to me. A couple of family members arguing does not ruin the entire wedding. I'm sure there were other guests there capable of ignoring them and happily celebrating with the couple. It was ruined when the bride decided to leave the reception. Conveniently now it's officially ruined and she can demand a do-over wedding. Yes. Ops are often soliciting one of two types of reactions. There are ops who legitimately want opinions from neutral parties and provide as much context as they can in such a limited space. Or, they give one-sided accounts in search of validation for their own poor behavior. There's probably a lot of missing context here. Weddings can bring out the worst in people without them even realizing it, and one person's concerns and desires can be another person's neuroses and demands, so I can't judge who all might be TA here. But I can't help but wonder how many people just needed a push to get out of a relationship, how many take constructive criticism to heart, and how many got way more shitty advice than they bargained for.